The history of early English drama. So, talking about the roots of drama, the drama began as a religious festivals for the Greek god Dionysius. So, these dramas were performed by performers wearing masks. Men in the chorus were the first performance when actual plays were coming into existence. So, talking about origins and development of ancient tragedy. In tragedy, the writer must follow the strict rules of Aristotle for it to be successful. So, we have common characters in all tragedies, that is, tragic flaw. In order to be successful, a tragedy must contain a tragic flaw, or a tragic hero must contain a tragic flaw. So, earliest writings of tragedy were in Athens and Greek. While talking about the origin and development of ancient comedy, the first pieces of evidence of comedy were actually found on poetry. Aristotle suggests that comedy developed from phallic songs. So, in the creation of comedy, instead of serious costumes, outlandish costumes were worn for a comedic feel. While moving towards drama in the Middle Ages, that is 15th century, the drama was basically divided into two types. One was Wakefield cycle and other one was morality plays. The cycle contained 32 mystery plays of the 15th century that were presented in England during a summer religious festival. So we can still have the authentic text that is preserved in the Huntington Library in California. The dramas end on the fall of Lucifer that initiates the cycle and Last Judgment that concludes the cycle. While talking about the morality plays, in morality plays, actors impersonate different moral qualities to lead people to live good lives without impurities or temptations. The second major characteristic of morality plays is that the plays teach the audience and all those who watch moral lessons. The dances were often the form of folk plays. Moving towards 16th century. The 16th century can be summarized into three major points. First one is music and dancing were the main components to the performance. Secondly, the performances were typically improvised by the actors. And thirdly, the performances were characterized by a time where masks were utilized. So, moving towards Elizabethan age, we can see the playwrights and stages over there. So in playwrights, there were many instances where the authors would work together to produce more plays to people in a shorter amount of time. Some of the famous playwrights were William Shakespeare, Thomas Kyde, George Peele and Ben Jonson. So, talking about the characteristics of playwrights, oftentimes a play would only be performed once unless the audience decided that they wanted an encore. While talking about the concept of stages in the Elizabethan age, after the Mayor band plays in the year 1572, permanent playhouses were built outside of London. So public theatres were usually about 3 stories high and were built with an open space in the center. Most theatres had a thrust stage with an open roof playhouse. Moving towards French theatre in the 17th century. The French were recognized for their drastic development and shifting scenery. The Pierre Corneille, known as the founder of French tragedy, was the author of The Lord. So, talking about Molière, he was a famous French actor. His real name was Jean Baptiste. So, this was also his stage name. He was also known as Molière by his stage name. So, he acted in the play The School for Wives. So, he also founded the acting troupe called Illustrious Theatre. But sadly, it went bankrupt, and he was in heavy debts when he was arrested. While talking about the early 18th century, the early 18th century can be divided into European theatre, that is Germany or Scandinavia. So, talking about Germany, the theatre was often used as political tool for people. The earliest German theatre performances from the year 1634 was called a passion play. While talking about Scandinavia, most of the early Scandinavian dramas were imported from other European countries like England, Italy, France, and Germany. A major character in Scandinavian theatre was Ludwig Holberg. So he was famous for his comedies. Moving towards the late 18th century, that is the century of Oriental theatre, that can be divided into China and Japan. In China, the first annual opera was held in Beijing to celebrate the birthday of Emperor Qinglong of the Qing dynasty. These operas greatly emphasized singing, dancing, and even fighting for entertainment. So another type of drama called the Yuan drama was closely based on history novels, epics, and other events. And that drama mainly focused on teaching good morals to the audience in an entertaining way rather than just entertaining them. So while moving towards Japan had four major type of theaters. The main type of drama was called kabuki. Much singing, dancing, and acrobatics were included in this type of theater as well. So actors wore very elaborate makeup and clothing. Moving towards the modern theater, I can say that Henrik Ibsen, Chekhov, and Strindberg are the noted figures of modern theater. While talking about the Henrik Ibsen, he was a Norwegian playwright who quit school at the age of 15. He became famous for the play that he wrote about a clergyman who loses his family because of his extreme faith called Brand. He is also famous for initiating debates and questioning the accepted social practices of the time. While talking about Chekhov, he was the author who is considered to be among the greatest writers of short stories in history, and was also a Russian physician and playwright. He wrote a trilogy of short stories called the Little Trilogy, and it included The Man in a Case, Gooseberries, and About Life. He was diagnosed with TB in the year of 1897. While talking about August Strindberg, he was a very large rival of Ibsen, a Swedish playwright who struggled with a madness for over 6 years. He did not write any plays during this time. He is strongly admired for his plays. He is strongly admired for his plays, also called dream plays, because they were full of symbolism, ghosts, and supernatural happenings. So this was all from my side on the history of early English drama. Hope you liked it. Thank you very much.